negative all the time, particularly when he is the main focus of the program. One thing that he's very successful at is helping, or let's say, influencing other candidates, and oftentimes he's an unwitting participant that works out better for the good guys and girls, good girls and guys. So the pollster, then the poll cat, interestingly, is uh, is one of a member of a family of animals that, although they so appropriately they eat rodents, they're not actually rodents, which they come from a family of animals that I can never pronounce the name properly, so I won't try to. But they are they are weasels, appropriate. But a polecat is really a different version of a ferret, which some people keep as pets. Much like Donald J. Trump is arguably a pet of a certain man in Moscow. It's also the badgers, the otters, I think the beavers, and we won't go down that route at all because we can only get in trouble. Yeah, a couple of other cute creatures. So Donald J. Trump, who has power at the polls, is also kind of a weasel and feeds on rats. He's a New York guy. That's quite possible because that, as a protein source, that is something that's readily available. So there's our boy. And when Donald Trump entered the race for Trump 2.0, he wasn't inaugurated until July, right? July of 24. But when it was over long before that, even before Nikki Haley dropped out, excuse me. But we can just use that kind of as a benchmark in the timeline. When if she got out in March of 24, we'll say that he became not the presumptive nominee, but the nominee. A number of things happened after that that were consequential around the world in the political realm and influenced positively for the good girls and guys, because many leaders around the world, like many people in our own country, said, "There's no effing way people are going to elect him. We've seen this movie before. We know about the Russian interference in the elections. We know about family separation from Trump 1.0. We know about the mishandling of COVID. Um, Even as we turn around and give grace for the Warp Speed, vaccine, mRNA vaccine development, we give that little sliver of grace for that. And I'm going to go to my grave arguing that it was probably somebody else in the administration. I'll give the grace to Fauci because that triggers the weak of heart and weak of mind. When they hear Fauci's name, it's like saying Hillary, Benghazi, Anthony Fauci. So yeah, that's names that bring joy to me at this particular time. But when these European and world leaders saw sure, he was running for reelection, but he's in a primary, and maybe it's going to be, Chubby Roddy DeSantis, whoever it turns out to be, it ain't going to be him. They wouldn't do that to themselves or the rest of us. They wouldn't put us through the indignities of what we went through in Trump 1.0. But yes, in fact, there were enough people in the country for a number of reasons, whether it was Joe Biden's uh, uh, rapidly approaching senior status and his flubs at the debate, or a number of other things. The affordability. I know people don't dig that deep and can't draw a straight line between inflation that was a result of COVID era supply chain, dot, dot, dot. But they're like, oh, things are still too expensive. So it's obviously Biden's fault. Biden, um, and all of that hogwash. But for whatever reason, and Kamala came in late. She had whatever the title of the book is, 102.5 days in 15 minutes, and it wasn't enough time. And all of a sudden, DJT was here. But in the interregnum, as maybe the kids that are on the rostrum at the opera say, at the orchestra, the interregnum, there was that period of time from March when he was alone, just kind of biding time until the election, and everybody's like, "Oh no, we ain't doing that. We're not going back." We did go back, but they were saying there, we can't do that. So there were candidates that you know of. I guess first in um, in the timeline was Keir Starmer, right? In old good old jolly old England. And although he was elected to office 3 weeks before the Republican convention, it was a done deal. The fear was in. And so Donald Trump's reappearance on the world stage, for good reason, frightened the shit out of people. And they're like, no, we don't. No, 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 no. So Keir was doing okay. Labor was doing okay. But Trump's reappearance on the stage ensured, you know, assured, we're talking about an Englishman, it assured his victory without, the Tories, the Conservative Party, they were just, one shitting on themselves, and their party was a shambles. And they have some very real problems going forward, as does Keir with Tories in decline and all of the loonies that are running around there otherwise. So he has some tough work to do, but with Trump doing what Trump does, he gives more progressive or centrist candidates a fighting chance, even when they're not doing well, even when they're not the most appealing candidates on the planet Earth. Oh, weather update: 14 degrees. I shoveled 2 feet of snow 3 different times because it kept blowing back in. Anyway, you've probably heard the sob story. I feel like a linebacker that was, as an ex lady friend of mine from the southern USA used to say, I feel like I've been ridden hard and put away wet, right? Okay. Sore. Yeah, like a good workout, which it was. Yeah, so Keir Starmer, he was that one guy. He was boosted, and his victory was, while um, not a slam dunk before everybody saw Donald Trump on the horizon. It was it was definitely a slam dunk after Trump reared his ugly head once more. And who else? Mr. Albanese in Australia. Right? His candidacy was in jeopardy. I mean, it's a story that you hear all the time about the rise of populism, right? And where did the racism that is attendant to populism, whether they want to characterize it like that or not, I don't care what they want to do. That's what it is. And they're like, no, we have too many brown people coming to our country. And in Australia, there were Afghanis that came that were under stress in their homeland because of us. Yeah, we only hung out for however many, yeah, a long time. Uh, there's uh, there's Asian influence and a little bit of pushback at that, mostly Chinese, and there were jingoistic tendencies. Australia, we joke about it being the former penal colony, and beautiful country, beautiful people, the most some of the most fun people there. I mean, for this guy, uh, I was last there in Sydney and Melbourne and uh, Cairns, which I'm going to miss. Can I don't know how they do that. It's Cairns, but it's pronounced Cairns, which is in the way up in the northeast. I think they call it Northeast Territories, maybe, and it's you know above Great Barrier Reef, just tropical, probably like Crocodile Dundee stuff, but just a wonderful people that love sport. They love horses. They love being outside. They love the ocean. So it's a magnificent place to be. But Mr. Albanese was going down in the polls until the poll cat DJT showed up, and they're like, no, no, far right, no, no, we're not doing this. We're not. We'll not. They did let those Yanks do whatever the hell they want, but we're not doing this here. And he came through and he picked up his swing was something like plus 17, or it was something ridiculous. It was just a sound beating of the more conservative competition. Right? Then the man that was one of the many stars of Davos and in recent weeks was Mark Carney, who the best leader in North America. Mark Carney, you know, I this sounds like a lib statement if I ever heard one. But you take Mark Carney, the credentialed leader, right? He was the head of the Bank of England and of Canada, not at the same time, but a supremely talented administrative, a governmental wizard who's done many things and all of them well. Um, Well spoken, patriotic, and compassionate, and all the things you would want a leader to be. And we got some very um, up close and personal features of what makes Mark Carney a unique human being, because Trump, when he came into office in 2.0, what did he do? He turned around and slapped tariffs on our two neighbors, our trading partners, on Mexico and Canada. And it simmered for a while, and then the Canadians who loved their American, past tense, excuse me, loved their American neighbors and would spend S tons of money to visit here and they would, sunbirds, excuse me, snowbirds, people that wanted to get it's cold in Canada. It's like where I am right now. It's, uh, it's well below 0, um, Celsius, and, in the winters in Manitoba, right? In the far north, in the hockey country, Montreal and then Toronto and Vancouver and Nova Scotia all the way on the east, where you can almost see Greenland, almost. We can still see it. It's still there. It's still theirs. Um, it's cold as heck. So when I lived in Miami for those 25 plus years, there were a ton of people. They would come down to Hollywood, Hollywood, Florida, which in that strip of beach that kind of between when Dade County turns to Broward, and that stretches from Hallandale up to Palm Beach County. Ton of Canadians there. Nicest people in the world. Love to have a good time. Pleasant, great neighbors. Uh, Exceedingly polite. Polite. I'm a northeasterner. And I've been a few places, and you have kind of like New Yorkers have some of the same wiring. That if people are that nice, it's my fault, not theirs. But you're a little bit skeptical. You're like, wow, that's a little too nice. But Canadians are genuinely wonderful people. So this is who Donald Trump, with right out of the gate, decides to assault our nicest cousins in the world, right? I'm not I'm not qualifying the relationship of Canada against the relationship of Mexico. That isn't what I'm doing. I'm just saying that Canadians, they come here to spend money. They come here to buy vacation homes. They come here to enjoy their brothers and sisters in other parts of North America. And and Trump just flushed that down the toilet, like so many other things that he's done, because his feels got hurt, because there was a grievance, because he felt he wasn't given the respect he thought he deserved. When you're elected president, however misguided or ill-informed the voters might have been, in my humble opinion, that put him in, fine. He's the president. He got the votes by whatever means he got them. He is elected president. But that doesn't mean, like, I was elected president, you must respect me. That's the that is the why people say the royalty twist, that this is our sovereign leader. That's He wants to be able to rule like a sovereign. And he's not. This is the US. You can't do that. He's trying. And he has enablers. He has enablers that want to let him do what he wants because they get something out of it, whether that's money, power, often both, right? If they ride with the king, the man who would be king, then they're going to get the spoils and pick up the shit that falls behind him. So happy for them. So Carney was going to lose. He was going to lose because the populism was at a fever pitch for a while in Canada for a number of reasons, economic reasons, border issue, and we it was a tense time between, it's like fighting with your siblings or fighting with your cousin. shit happens. You get, you get pissed off, and, because there are emotions tied up in that relationship, that, it can get chippy among cousins, just like it can, with complete strangers, because, you if you're a younger person and you're in we'll say, an altercation with another human being who you just met in a bar and outside, whatever happens, and there's an altercation, maybe somebody you've never laid eyes on before in your life. Things happen, right? But when it's when it's your cousin, it's like, oh my, I'm gonna harm him. I want to beat his ass, but that's my mother's sister's cousin. So I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble. So that's Canada and the U.S. We love each other. We occasionally would, I'm a Boston fan. Every time we would play Montreal or, well, any of the many wonderful Canadian teams, um, then there would be a great rivalry and a lot of shit talking, and, in two languages, and it's great. And I love Canada. I love Montreal is, I guess, my top five cities. I mean, I've been in a few, and I just think of it because it's like right down the street, and it's, convenient to the U.S., and it's a multicultural, very diverse city where you can dine in a Greek restaurant for lunch, an Ethiopian restaurant for dinner, and then have breakfast the next morning in a French restaurant. It's just beautiful city, beautiful architecture, and beautiful people in as many languages as you can count on your hands and toes. Just walking around the city and walking down Crescent and enjoying the a beautiful day. Mm. So those are our brothers, and Carney was when the very intelligent Canadian voters saw what was going on down here in the approaching uh, red MAGA storm, and they had their own Pierre Polyakov, right? Their version of the MAGA lunatic, right? Was they're like, oh, so if we vote for this guy, we're going to get the Trump treatment from Trump 1.0, and all that shit's going to, no, we're not going to do that either. So thanks again for the warning. Thanks for the wake up call. Thank you for the free peek into the future. The Rip Van Winkle. F that, not doing it. And they elected Carney by a healthy margin. And he has been magnificent. He has been a great leader. He's a moral beacon. No shade at Justin Trudeau. Justin had some. I forget the Katy Perry stuff, but he had a little bit of legacy hangover from the old man. But an interesting cat, and you want to vote for a guy that can put on some gloves and throw hands in a ring, and there was a lot to like about old Justin, but it was a good time for a change, and all of a sudden they got an adult. They got the really smart uncle in Mark Carney, who has run, the central bank, the kind of the uh, not a direct parallel, but like the Jay Powell we saw 2 Sundays ago, whenever he made his appearance on on YouTube, I guess it was, when he was attacked. He's still under attack from the Vendetta police, Pamela Joe Bondi, and Donald Trump's other attack dogs, um, not gendered. And so that's still a mess. But they look at, I mean, those two guys alone. If you could take, I would if somebody said to me, "I'll tell you what, let's let let's let Mark let's let Carney go 3 for 3, success in Great Britain and back in his home country, and then c can we give him a waiver?" I mean, he speaks better English than I do, which ain't saying much. He speaks beautiful French, and, let's just install him as the United States president will try something different, right? Maybe change well, I know we have some, it's a little bit of constitutional, uh, jujitsu. Hmm, and I think excuse me, my mouth is starting to freeze up a little bit. So, I'll move it along and wish you a good day. So, the our polecat went in thinking that the just by his presence, he would create a wave of like-minded individuals. And certainly the pro-Nazi free speech Vice President J.D. Vance felt the same thing. But then there were cracks, the ones that I just, in Great Britain and Australia and in Canada. And what do we have on the near term? I mean, we have our own midterm elections, which are going to be huge. And if we just honest, honestly assign blame, mouth freezing, if we honestly assign blame where it is deserved, every Republican member of the House, every Republican senator who did not stand up after Renee Good was killed, that did not stand up after Alex was killed, Alex Britty, and did not take and not just wave a hand saying I condemn this, and then they go back to their martini or whatever they were doing before. If they don't take a principled stand, like by like 5 minutes from now, if something not I'm not talking about taking Gregory Bovino and reassigning him to Central California, right? Certainly not talking about sending Tom Homan into Minnesota as, oh, everything's fine now. Okay, DJT, you fixed everything, right? No, no, absolutely not. Each and every day, and I mean, we only have what 10 plus months till the midterms, but it's a long, it's still 300 days, right? It's a long time, and there will be, as we know, distraction upon distraction every single day, and keep banging home you still want to see the Epstein files. And my twisted mind, as I wrote earlier in the feed, is I occasionally take on uh, occupy the personage of Jeffrey Epstein, and I'll have other things as Jeffrey is asking me to help him negotiate for the purchase of a NFL franchise, and all of the obstacles that may present. What we might learn additionally about enablers and unindicted co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein, which we're going to learn a lot, and it's going to be very painful for a lot of people. But it's painful for them because they did bad things. So whatever. They got to pay the freight, right? Yeah. So just what do we have before from today going forward for the rest of this year? What are we keeping an eye on and going into? I mean, between now and the end of 27, we've got a lot going on. We've got Sweden. I mean, these are not countries that Americans tend to, keep their fingers on the pulse of the electorate of certain other states, but in countries. But it is EU members and the rise of fascism and authoritarianism and Nazis and a lot of other people that are doing things that are antithetical to who we are as Americans. So if it's if it's Slovenia, the home country of your illustrious uh, first lady, right, and birth, not coincidentally, the birthplace of your first lady, the birthplace of the biological father of the eldest or the youngest Trump son, and many other very talented people. They're going to be doing some election business in April, maybe. It's got coming up. There are other Sweden, Slovenia. Then I guess next in order of importance is a couple of state elections in Germany, right? The AfD, which is the far right, some people say Nazi party, which is which is it's worth watching for a number of issues. Um, One of which is JD Vance, your vice president that spoke encouragingly about free speech rights for Nazis um, in back in February of last year, so almost a year ago. And I mean, he did that within a month of being sworn into office, which is just mind blowing. But will they win in the states of Saxony, right? And not North Rhineland. That's still now. That's still pretty much. They're gaining. The AfD is gaining in every state in Germany. They're likely to win Saxony and two or three other states. What does that mean? Then they get representation. Their the structure of their system is that you have state representation, kind of like what we have, and you get delegates at that assembly that go to guide lawmaking for the entire country. There are those controls, those post World War II guardrails that control against. There's kind of a two-tier system. There is the administrative state, what they installed to monitor and try to limit the Nazis from getting too uh, to accumulating too much power. And there's also another non sort of unwritten, at least the water stays cold, where the other major parties, the Christian Democrats and others, won't form a government with if for instance the AfD wins seats and they're looking to put together a coalition, then the other parties won't join that coalition. So that limits not ultimately their upside because if they eventually if it goes like it is like it's trending, then in some period of time in the third in the next decade, they will have a good chance of winning outright. you know? Can they get a majority overall, the way that it's trending? And even, more, worrying is France, right? So Marine Le Pen and her chosen, acolyte, um, are doing frighteningly well in the poll. Right now they're somewhere around, 40 or so in the polls, and that election isn't until 27, right? So there's time for things to happen. But with, Macron got a bump from Trump being Trump, right? He Macron Emmanuel Macron continues to be unpopular, but he would have been far less popular if Trump weren't there. There was a lot of pushback to the Trump factor, so he got a bump, right? Excuse me. And yeah, I think that's Ms. Merloni in Italy. She's fighting her own battle against far right, every single country, right? Portugal is under tremendous amount of pressure. The one probably most rousing success story is Spain. You know, Spain is a model of modern progressive progressive in the European style governance, and they're just getting shit done, doing things that are good for Spaniards, and but they're catching strays from the conservatives who are anti. There are two most prominent sort of separatist movements in Spain are in the Basque region and where Barcelona is. Yeah, I should know that very well, but I just am having a slight brain cramp. But in any case, they want to the far right because they know the only way to interrupt the strong forward motion of the governing coalition is to say, no, you're giving too much power to these breakaway republics, and we need to have cohesion. And oh, by the way, no more people of color. You know, which is, I mean, Spain. The history of the comings and goings from North Africa to Spain over I mean, what was the Kevin Costner, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Morgan Freeman, and there are Africa. Going back to her last week, you know, we're all Africans, so chill the chill the fuck out, as the professors say. Just take a little take a chill pill. But people are exercised about Germany, obviously, because of the Turks, and then what happened in the last decade, because Germany had a real population problem. You know, so Angela Merkel was more permissive with immigration, and she was a brave leader and did what was necessary to get enough people to work the factories that make Germany what Germany is. But she didn't, because she's a good human being. She didn't screen the uh, the immigrants, the people that were coming to the country to work and better themselves and take care of their families. She didn't say, "Oh no, you're black or brown, you can't come." She was a human, right? And there are a lot of people that are a lot less human now. So. In any case, so that is my polecat. So my DJT is a killer at the polls because he turns out his base, but he's also anathema to good, honest governance, and he doesn't hide it, which is good for. I mean, bad for our country that he's there, but there's something kind of good that it's all right out there. He puts it out there with like a bullhorn, and it stays with you like well, I guess like an STD. So that's DJT, STD, and wishing you all a beautiful evening. I'm going to bring my little icicle fingers inside and wish you a beautiful night. And I'll catch up with you sometime tomorrow. Thank you very much.